bossing me around to tell me to boss you around?
It's
What weird stuff are you into?
Exactly
That
what I'm
sounded
doing.
like that.
There's not too many people I tell they can boss me around.
Too many cooks.
Yeah, that's pretty. Nate, you need to do your job and boss me around.
That's right.
I got to stretch, boys, because we're about to do the big guns today.
I like a man that knows what he wants, Panozzo. I like it.
We're about to go to war today in here, so I'm about to get to my
All right, so who wants to go on tilt? Does anybody here want to go on tilt first? Any?
Well, pick a topic.
I feel like
where are we starting at?
Pick a topic.
Let's start chronologically. So the fans' choice. No, not fans' choice. What was the first match? What was the first match? It's been so long now. Is it
first
singles?
Was the carryover? Yeah. It was
Jason Shaw versus
Jason
Chris
and Chris.
The carryover.
Jason and Chris.
Oh yeah. The fight. I mean, I don't think there's too much to. I don't think too much to talk about there, right? I mean, Chris showed some fight, but that was the kind of one that we had chalked up for Europe. To say about that match?
Nope.
Jason was starting his MVP run there, boys.
Doesn't sound like it.
That was
so. Yeah.
Jason was starting to go and really execute some phenomenal shot making, but Chris was just in a super tough spot there, coming off of that blunder from day 2, and then you're running into arguably the best player of the event so far, in Jason Shaw. It was just, it was a no-win situation there, and Jason handled his business, and stepping up in a big spot to go and tie the event up for the Europeans.
Yep. So the next match, I think we're starting to get into things we can really talk about. Shane and Sky, right? Do I have that right?
Yep. No, Sky and
no.
Tyler.
Or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sky and Tyler. Sorry, Sky and Tyler.
Sean Filler. Yeah.
Yep, Sean Filler. I mean, I guess that was the match Tyler lost the MVP. I think we can think right line. Came off. I mean, he didn't play amazing the first 2 days, but he got the job done. And I thought Sky played well. Tyler really struggled, but I mean, I guess anybody have any thoughts to take away from there?
Well, I think that the U.S. team at this point,
no one's got anything.
would be struggling to find an MVP. If there was just the opposite of an MVP, I think there'd be more participants in that. It's unfortunate, but they've all contributed, I believe, to kind of just sloppy playing. They're not. They don't have their A games, that's for sure. Sky is probably the least at fault of any player.
I think Sky's playing the best pool of anybody.
And overall, at least he's come up with a couple of critical shots that were, sporty. Not that Jeremy didn't have a pretty sporty shot on that 2-ball yesterday. I mean, he certainly did with position on that 3. That was a quality shot, but that's just one shot.
Yeah, Tyler just Tyler just had some really bad moments, there in that match, and I think that was. I guess it's easy to go and say that's whenever the wheels started coming off because you get a loss from your what I consider to be the American 2 top guys. What do you say, Panozzo?
That was a match that, I was hopeful because I did think that they were playing the 2 strongest guys. They were the 2 strongest Americans through the first 2 days, but still you're going against Sean Filler, and Shaw just coming off a match where he was, nice and loose, having beat Chris up pretty good. So that was a tough situation for them. But still, even then, it's 6-5. It's still a horse race. To me, the wheels came off. The momentum. Forget the Chris shot on day 2. The game changer, the match changer, everything in this was the Shane Kachi match, which was the 3rd match of that day. That's where everything to me changed to a one-way street in the wrong direction for USA.
Yeah.
That's a match you're supposed to win. That's a match he looked great coming out of. He was breaking like a monster. He was getting open racks. And then somehow or another, he couldn't find the pocket. you know, he was getting out of shape a lot and leaving him tougher shots than he should have had, but still makeable shots.
Well,
But
that's
to me,
an important
guys,
thing too. I mean, Tyler never had a lot of real good. He was always shooting testers.
Yeah, I mean that's they've all kind of run into that. I think that maybe the table playing, maybe the Americans haven't figured out the tables, but Shane against Kachi just he never really found the table. I mean, he was always chasing shots. It was getting worse and worse, and then he would miss a couple of racks in a row where he missed, and that to me was the match that changed everything, because he wins that he's supposed to win that. Kachi was sleepwalking the whole tournament. He's supposed to win that, and then you're at 6-6, and it's a horse race to 5. But not only did he lose that match, but his mindset went on tilt after the latter part of that match. He was slumping in his chair.
Well, here we go.
It was all carried over.
Yep. So Jim wants to be on today just because he wants to go off on. Let's let Jim go on.
Knock yourself out
From here.
What's your question? What do you want me to? You want me to address the Shane, Shane situation?
We all saw. Well, we all saw what happened, right? I mean, Shane obviously struggled. He obviously struggled, and then he let his demeanor completely change the way that Tyler. I think his next match him, and I think Tyler did his best to stay focused. But I think the telling part is when she came up very short on a shot. He played a very poor positional shot from the 6 to the 7. And Tyler has a look at the 7 ball, and it's a real shot. Sits in his chair. What has Tyler got to be thinking there? Like, Shane's sitting in his chair, and Tyler goes up and drills the shot. He makes the shot.
Yeah. But Shane's got 2 roles there this week, yeah? And we've talked about it before. He's got the extra responsibility of being the vice captain. He's got 2 roles now. It almost seems like to me that he's chosen to pick the Earl role rather than the vice captain role yesterday. He's allowed to lose his matches. Yes, is he favourite against Kachi based on the first 2 days? Yes, he is. But he doesn't have to win that match. Kachi can beat him. You know, we've discussed it. Kachi's ill. But, you know, that's a point that USA needed. They really needed it. Now, he's got to go back out there again with Tyler. And, yes, his demeanour, that shot specifically, myself and Neight talked about it. We were sitting beside each other when he sat in his chair and threw his cue down as if he expected Tyler to miss it. Now, if I'm his partner, I'm thinking, hold on, get up here. I'm going to make this ball. Where do you want the cue ball? Why are you going to sit in your seat? Where do you want to be on the 8? But Shane's just walked away from him and tossed his cue in the corner and sat down. And it's like, well, what's going on here? And then we did not see Shane for the rest of the day. He was not sitting with the rest of the players. We didn't see his face once. He's obviously
he did come out. Did come out eventually. He
at the very
he came out on Hill, Jim.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah, at Hill.
What's he doing for the rest of the time? He's the vice captain. You know, where is he when you know okay, I've lost my match, but I need the rest of my team to be there, you know? And at the time, it reminded me of Earl. I remember one year that Earl, you didn't see him in the arena when he wasn't playing. And Shane just sort of disappeared. Now, I know probably he has to compose himself. He's upset. He's lost his matches. But you're leaving the rest of your team hanging. And then you've got, when Jeremy's out.
Oh, do we lose Jim?
Chris and
a little
Sky.
bit. Temporarily.
Yeah, Chris and Sky ones are having to go over and give the positive words to Jeremy, you know? Where's Shane? Yeah. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm not it just seemed like it was the doomsday scenario that we envisaged perhaps happening with Earl, and it was Shane that it happened with, you know, and it baffles me. I don't know. I really don't know what went on. He looked upset. He looked sitting, even before on the first match, he was sitting in his chair, and when itself and Neight mentioned it, we said, look at Shane's face. He just looked fed up. He looked uninterested. He just wasn't. there was no eye contact between himself and his player who was out there, Chris. There was never really, he was going out there and giving him any positive vibes. Wasn't involved in what was going on, it didn't seem.
I thought when he left there that he
So I
went
really
up
don't know. He just
playing the traffic.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I think we're having some delays here
Panozzo, what do you think?
between you guys and the audio.
Yeah, unfortunately, the only person with worse internet than me apparently is Jim. So this is the hotel we're staying at. It's the internet's not very good here. We apologize, but Panozzo, I guess, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, you're not. Jim's not going to get any argument from any American, I don't think. On Shane. The only difference that I would say from Shane
you'd be
to Earl.
surprised.
Well, possibly. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you forget social media. Okay, I'm talking about people who understand the game and watch the game and have some sense of objectivity to them. So the only difference I would make to Earl is when Earl used to be a non-team player, he would badmouth his teammates. This time, I think Shane. I'm hoping that he was just disgusted with himself.
Exactly.
And just hated the game that he was playing and just couldn't stand. But either way, that all changed when he took on the vice captain role. And that's where you have to, Jeremy lost a couple of heartbreakers. He was still out there talking to the players, talking to them every match, talking to them every shot, encouraging, whatever. That's what you got to do, whether you're playing well or whether you're not playing well, or whether you're feeling good or you're not feeling good, whether you're mad at yourself or you're not mad at yourself. This is your role. So if you took it on and you said you were going to take it seriously, take it seriously. Otherwise, just lip service. And so, yeah, to me, Shane's got a lot of explaining to do. Not to me personally, because he doesn't owe me anything, but to his teammates and to Jeremy, I think he's got a lot of explaining to do.
Correct.
You know what? When you're playing Scotch doubles, don't you always really try to leave your playing partner with an easy shot?
Molina Mike,
isn't that the objective? Not an easy shot for a professional. They should all be fairly easy, but I did notice on the shot just before when Shane dogged that ball down the rail, Tyler had a pretty straight in shot, and he looked at it for quite a while. And I'm thinking, if I'm on that table, I want to leave Shane on the rail so that ball's straight in the hole, because the next ball, the 8 ball, would have been straight in the corner, opposite corner, into the table. And instead, he draws the ball back to the middle of the table and up the table quite a ways. Now, that was probably an easier position shot than trying to get the ball on the rail. But look at what Al-Kaidi did. He's got 3 balls left down in the corner that one time. He doesn't try to mess around down in that corner with tight shape. He draws that ball all the way up the table, hits the short rail, and comes back down. Now, I'm thinking Tyler is good enough to really execute and put that ball on the rail. Why did he not do that? This because he thinks, well, Shane can make any shot there is? If I'm a Scotch doubles partner, and this is Mosconi Cup crap, it ain't the Scotch doubles tournament down the block. I mean, I'm trying to get that ball so it's straight in so he can't miss it. So that blew my mind, really, right there.
I don't know. If you start playing positioning, if you play positioning to make your partner not lose, you already lost.
Yeah, and I push back on that totally.
You're
not playing so that he can't miss. You're just giving him the best shot possible. A straight in shot down the rail was the best shot possible, considering where the 8 ball was. The best.
I think if you said that to Shane would probably tell you that there's nothing wrong with the shot he took.
Should have made the shot. I know what he's going to say. Yeah, he just missed it. Undercut it.
It's not hard. Yeah, it's a miss, but it's not a hard shot.
Right, but it is missable.
I don't know.
A straight in shot.
You were going to say something. Go ahead.
It's terrible optics. It doesn't look good. You know, adversity is going to go and reveal character, and that was not what you wanted to go and see from your top guy. Number one, that's not what you want to go and see from your vice captain. They needed more out of him, not just from a playing standpoint. They needed more out of him as a leader of that damn team. You know, you cannot leave your guys out there to go and hang out to dry like that. You know, Jeremy's showing all the fight in the world after every one of his soldiers goes down back to back to back to back, and you're nowhere to be found. For the life of me, I don't understand it. You know, you win as a team, you go and lose as a team. We hear all these cliches all the time, but you know, you're under a microscope and the whole pool world's watching, and you're not out there. You got Sky out there being more of a captain or vice captain, whatever you want to go and call it, more than Shane was. You know, encouraging his guy. You got Tyler out there consoling him and giving him a hug after it's over with. You know, it's you cannot be there during that time. You can't have that kind of body language. You just, even if you're out, man, fake it till you make it. You know, put on a face, show some damn heart. Go out there and just give those guys a little bit of hope, because in short race 9 ball, one little thing and some hope, one little mistake can go and swing the match the other way around. But when you're already checked out and you're already defeated, and listen, part of that team is you got young guys that y'all went and picked out there. It's not veterans who have been through this shit before time and time again. So they're looking to you for how you're going to go and carry yourself, and that's the example that you're going and saying. I mean, I'm going to get crucified on here because, you know, Shane's the golden boy, and I get it, but there's got to be some accountability there. You know, you can't just keep on giving a guy a pass over and over again.
No, I think, Mike, you're not going to.
No, I love your point about.
There's a lot of people that are going to agree with what you just said.
Well, Rob, I think you made an amazing point about the young team, right? I mean, the reason Tyler are on this team is not because of the many players in the U.S. It's because of the future, and at some point in time, you got to get the next generation of U.S. players ready, and this is especially last year with Chris, but even this year, I mean, you got to get him ready, and part of getting ready is being able to handle that adversity. There's more of it here than there is in any other tournament in the world, probably every single other tournament combined. I mean, the playing conditions that are here are just different, and you got to learn how to win in this environment. And I mean, as the vice captain, I mean, we can all say this. We can all say that Shane has 2 roles, and he was not willing to play one of them. He was not willing to play vice captain role yesterday. He wouldn't do it. He was gone. At the end of the day,
I just want to say this because Jim also had a fair point earlier in that, like, he's allowed to lose matches. That's not the part that frustrates me, right? Because he's human and it's short race 9 ball and he's up against world-class players. You know, even though on paper he was a favorite against Kachi is a world champion. You know, as much as Panozzo hates that word. But, you know, my point is that it's, for me, and I think the overall point is, it's the body language. It's what you're showing to your guys afterwards. And then you go and not just check out here and you check out there on the floor, but then you literally check out of the whole, you know, playing area and just got the hell out of Dodge while the rest of your guys are still over there dodging bullets.
Yeah, I think, you know, the thing I would add to that is that, you know, you're talking about the young players. If you're a young player, you know, they all grew up idolizing Shane. Who more would you want to come out there and grab your arm and pump you up and tell you, you know, that he believes in you, whatever. That's what you want. And you know, we didn't see that in him. We saw that in Jeremy. You know, Jeremy, like, yeah, he's, you know, he showed what a captain is. He went out there, he fought and grinded for everything he had. Yeah. And, you know, I mentioned to Mike last night, what was Jeremy thinking? What did he feel like when he was going through that 4-4 match against Al-Kaidi and all these guys are coming out there and he sees that his best player, his vice captain, the guy that he, you know, took all the advice from for this, isn't there? I mean, it's just bad. It's just a bad look all around. And I felt bad for the young players. I felt bad for Jeremy. It just shouldn't have happened.
But I do want to say something. Like, Sky does not have it in him to be the type of captain that he was asked to be yesterday. Sky wants to be goofy with you, right? He wants, you know, when you're in a tough situation, situation. He wants to make you laugh and loosen up a little, kind of in the moment. He doesn't want to be the person that has to pull somebody up out of the dregs to do the, that's just not the Sky's role. And I think Sky did his absolute best yesterday with that. It was really impressive.
We're losing you, Nate.
And I saw Chris do exactly what Chris Reinhold was doing. Good.
Yeah, we got the gist.
No good.
Kinda.
A little better.
A little bit.
The fans out there has got to
Speak faster. We need you to speak faster so we get it in those books of internet.
difficulties here.
Yeah, right. I mean, Chris Reinhold to me showed that. To me, Chris Reinhold shows that he's a leader, and he could, if his game progresses, he continues working on it. He continues to be, a great player. He could take the role over that Shane should have been.
Yeah.
No player.
I see it. I mean, I don't know if the players are that'll come with the practice, but he has what it takes to be that leader.
Yeah, I don't agree with that from a couple standpoints. One, he doesn't have that, level of experience. He's a good team player. That's what you want. He's a good team player. He'll help you rally. Sky's a good team player in his own way. Tyler's a good team player in his own way. A player shouldn't be vice captain anyway. So this was something that Shane wanted to do. This is something that people didn't beg him to do and say that we need Shane to be vice. This is something he wanted to do. Other than that, it shouldn't be a player anyways. So and the other players can play their leadership roles as players. They don't have to be vice captains or captains. They play their all
like
their
Shaw
own
does in his team with Europe.
Exactly. So that's what you want these players to do, and Sky does that in his way, and Chris can do that. But he's vice captain. No, that doesn't make any sense. And to me, it doesn't make sense for a player to be vice captain. It was kind of an odd thing this year, but that's what Shane wanted to do, and so. John Schmidt was on podcast the other night, said that Jeremy called him and asked him to be vice captain, and he accepted. And then all of a sudden it switched up and it became
went out the door whenever he didn't want to go to the U.S. Open though, because you got to go to matchroom events to be a part of that team.
To be vice captain. Anyway.
Well, I mean, they're still gonna if the events are in the U.S., I'd imagine they're still gonna want you to.
Yeah,
be there
I don't know what the reason was that John got his invitation.
No, yeah, he didn't say anything. I was just assuming.
But yeah. So, anyways, it just it's just mind-boggling what Shane did.
Yeah.
After wanting to be vice captain.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is at the end of the day, you either have what it takes to be that type of leader or you don't. What I'm saying is maybe Sky or maybe Shane or maybe Tyler isn't going to respect Chris at the rate he is or at the level he is right now. But, Chris is maybe 27. If he progresses into a world quality player, and what I'm saying has what it takes to be a leader, if he has the fortitude without those inner, that it takes to be the leader. All I'm saying is Sky doesn't have that. I mean, Sky doesn't want to have that role. Sky wants to be goofy. He wants to be the one that comes in and loosens you up and keeps you in the moment, not the one who drags you out of the dirt, and just kind of is a I guess the captain role. Sky's a lot like Carl Boyce, right? Carl Boyce
he'll keep you up spiritly. He'll keep your spirits up.
Absolutely,
yes. That's what you want.
Yes, he will. Yeah,
from being in that role. Not the guy to go and make you do drills.
Carl's so good at that, right? That's what Carl's best thing is. Carl can keep you in the moment, keep you laughing, keep you having fun.
I guess one of the frustrating parts is there was questions about Shane's leadership leading up to this, and he said all the right things and they said all the right things ahead of time. Well, we've seen it over the last, 10 years or so as far as his ability to go and be a leader on that team. And when you go and say all the right things ahead of time, but then whenever it got tight, that's what happens. That's the frustrating part from a fan standpoint. That's because that's whenever you show you have changed. You are going to be that leader. And I don't think he did. And I don't think it's fair for those guys who were out there.
Yeah,
I don't either. I agree
with that too.
So
I would like to make a comment about
a
glaring difference that I've noticed, and this is very simple. It's the ability to pot balls. You put the USA up against the Europe team, and you don't see nearly the mistakes in potting balls with the European players as you did with the US players. And I noticed something about that. I tried to look at their approach to the particular conditions of the table. Brand new cloth, new table, not really slippery, but I mentioned this yesterday, but it's fast. Okay. Well, when you're on those kinds of conditions, I know from playing 3-cushion billiards the last 5 years that if you elevate the back of your stick even slightly, it's going to have just a huge effect on your hitting the next ball at a half ball hit. Well, in pool, it really is the same thing. And I did notice that on misses by both Chris, Shane, and Tyler, that the backs of their sticks, especially shooting off the rail, was slightly elevated. Well, that's fine if you're going to shoot firm. But if you're going to do that soft, nice, easy stroke that Tyler has and Chris has, and the back of that stick is slightly elevated, stuff is going to happen on the way to that.
You'll be
you know, right?
Not saying it.
And they were missing these shots. They were overcutting them, and
You
that
better
is
have a
one
pure
of the
strike.
things that can happen. Now, Jim, what do you think about that? Because I was told a long time ago that if the conditions are slippery, if the cloth is new, you want to rub your knuckles across of that cloth when you're shooting. You want that cue stick as level as you can get it to that playing surface. And I didn't see that yesterday. What's your take on that?
What you're saying is correct. You play on that table when it's that slippy, or any table that's that slippy with a new cloth. Predator, Q-Tech, whoever they want can come out with a zero deflection cue, and you're going to get deflection if you're not hitting the ball solid, if you're not hitting the ball correctly. Because it is so slippy underneath, there's less friction in the cloth. So anytime you're slightly out of line or you just put a bad shot in, it's going to be magnified, the mistake. There's less room for error. There's less of a buffer in your stroke when you're playing on that table. And yeah, that happens when you're out there. You know, maybe you do put a twitchy one in. Maybe you do just, and I don't know. That matchroom table for years and years and years has made world champions and very, very good players look a little bit silly at times. So This is not something that we haven't seen before. It all happened to everybody, it seemed, in one go on Team USA, which is unfortunate. But it's not something we haven't seen before. This is Mosconi Cup. That table is like no other table. And if you can't play it and you can't get it under control, you're going to struggle. And you got to be smooth stroking. You've got to be on your line. You've got to be hitting the middle of the pocket, and you've got to have the speed of the table because you've got to keep that cue ball under control. And that's what Jason's done. He's had the best cue ball there, and he's been hitting the middle of the pockets. Simple as that. If you do that, you're going to be okay.
Big shot after big shot.
Yeah.
So, Jim, you were just a day off your prediction.
Yep, never afraid of the moment.
I knew it'd be 5-0 on one of the days. Yeah.
Here we go.
All right. With that stupidity, let's get to the elephant in the room, I guess. The next big controversy, JJ's time foul. Well, I get to start because why not? First off, the fly thing. The people saying that it's the same as when Jason had it.
Hold on one second. I'm fine with discussing it, but Jeremy played a hell of a match, and he had no business going and being in that match at 4-4 to begin with. So I don't want to start with the negative part of it because Jeremy grinded his way and moved his way and came with great shots, showed a ton of heart. There was a lot of inspiring, spots in that match, and it would have been very easy if he would have lost, 5-1, 5-2, whatever you want to go and say. But he made the best of it and fought for every ball, fought for every rack that he was in. The guy wasn't even playing pool a couple of days ago, So yeah, I just want to preface it with that.
Oh yeah, the best match of the tournament so far.
For sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah. And the greatest rack of the entire event so far. That rack was amazing. I mean, I guess it's Hill. Jeremy makes his way out of a great rack to get it Hill, and then David just breaks a stinker. There's 3 balls tied up on the bottom rail. There's 2 balls tied up on the other rail, like stinker of a rack. It's a perfect hill rack, right? And I mean, it goes back and forth. How many innings do you think each player had? 25,
15.
Something like that by the end of the game.
Yeah.
Was it 15?
Anyways.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I don't know. It was a lot though. It was a lot of.
Okay, yeah, no, it was a lot. It was way more than 10. And if I had to guess, I'd probably say about 20 to 25. There was a lot. There was a lot of innings. So, I mean, it just seems perfect for something crazy and controversial to happen after all of that, right? I mean, it's just primed for it. I guess, yeah, for anybody, I guess, that lives under a rock, it's Hill. Jeremy Jones has, David Al-Qaidi. Jeremy, I mean, sells out. I mean, he plays a bit of a loose safety, gives David a look at the ball. David makes the ball, draws back full table for his next ball, and taps the 8 ball onto the 6 ball, which makes the 6 ball not go. He then has to come with a hero draw stroke to try to get underneath the 6 ball and clips the 7 ball, hooking himself on the 6-7. David shoots the shot and then sells out. I guess it's not easy. It's an absolutely not easy shot, but he gives a shot to Jeremy. You could tell Jeremy was not expecting to get back to the table, I think, because he was not ready. This is my opinion. I think Jeremy had conceded that he was probably going to lose once he made that positional error, and David has an out. He you don't expect him to flick that 8 ball onto the 6. Just perfect enough to where it will only go in one pocket, the pocket furthest away from it, and messes up his positioning. So I think Jeremy is kind of like, oh my goodness, I'm actually going to get back to this table. I can still win this point and save America, right? I mean, this is it. He's trying to save US's chances, because 8-6 isn't too bad. 9-5 is terrible. And he's kind of thinking to himself, in my opinion, 9-5, oh, what the heck am I going to have to do tomorrow? This is going to be rough. And while he's going through that thought process, David messes it up, gives him an opportunity. So we're now at this point where he's kind of conceded. He has to get his head back into the match. And David sells out, and Jeremy's kind of working his way back into the match mentally. Forgets that he takes his extension already and thinks that getting the cue ball clean is going to give him a new shot clock. That's not the case. Seconds. Yep, at 12 seconds. He doesn't do this at 25 seconds. And I'll say this, the ref, terrible. Well, the ref was terrible. And the ref was terrible because he could not get the crowd under control. He wasn't even trying to get the crowd under control.
No, he wasn't.
I mean, they're screaming obscenities. They're down on the shots, talking the entire time, and try to get the crowd under control. He never says anything. He doesn't look up at the crowd and say, settle down. He doesn't do anything except for put his stupid little hand up in the air and do nothing. I mean, that doesn't do you any good. But with that being said, he got this one right. He got this one absolutely right, because he knew the rule. The rule, when Jeremy called for the ball to be clean, he looked at Jeremy like, what? And then immediately sprinted to the ball, cleaned it as fast as he possibly could, and put it down as fast as he could possibly do it. And JJ, I think, and I need to go back and look at this because I haven't looked at any of the replays, but Jeremy, he didn't even try to go for the ball. I mean, he went back to grab his towel to clean his cue off. He didn't even try to get back to the table. So Jeremy did not know the rule. The ref knew the rule. And if I remember right, I think the ref would have set it down with about 2 or 3 seconds to where Jeremy actually could have pulled the trigger if he wanted to and shot the ball really quickly. I mean, you guys were at home. I'm sure you guys have seen the replays at this point. Did he have enough time to shoot the ball?
Yeah, for sure. If he was ready, he did. If he was ready, he absolutely
if he was ready.
Time. But the problem is that when he's putting the ball down, he's then going and acknowledging there's a shot clock, and he's kind of like doing this number here,
right?
So and then as the time, and people were saying, well, there was no beeps. Well, go back and listen to it. Watch the replay, because there was definitely beeps as soon as it goes and gets down to 5 seconds. So
sure,
and it's I think
it was
for
loud.
me anyway,
it was loud.
Yeah, it was.
They were very hard to hear. It was
even
very
on the video.
loud.
It was loud. For
so
me,
my thought process,
the
really
emotion
quickly,
and the back and forth of the match. Boy.
Well, my thought process on this, just wrapping up, and then I'll hand it off to you, Mike. But the ref knew the rule immediately, so there's no way that Jeremy wouldn't have known it. I mean, he in the moment, but there is no way that he was not going to be prepared for that rule at some point in time, if given the context of, you know, the rule book. I mean, he had to have known it. He just was not ready for it. He needed a chance to collect himself, wipe his cue off, get the humidity off, get ready for the shot, and just get properly settled into it. He gave himself that amount of time, and he didn't have that amount of time. He didn't. It's Jeremy not just needing a breather. And given, like you said it perfectly earlier, Mike, this guy wasn't even hitting balls 3 days ago, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever it was. He wasn't even hitting balls. So to expect him to be ready for a moment like this, to where, you know, you could just go down on that shot after thinking you're done and probably the U.S. is done, and then just being absolutely ready to shoot the shot, you can't expect that out of him. But you can expect him to know the rule book. You can. And he didn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a crappy thing that happened. It's a terrible way to end the match. It's awful. I mean, my heart, a good person. He's, you know, he's knowledgeable. He's smart. He's everything that you could say about him. But he dropped the ball in this one. And you can't blame the refs. Don't give me that they cleaned it for Jason. That's an external factor that has nothing to do with the play on the table. Jeremy was not ready for the shot and needed more time to get himself ready for the shot. If a fly lands on a ball, that's something completely independent. If I chuck my beer from the stands and it hits a ball, you're going to reset the shot clock. You know, there's a difference between something that you're not ready for and something that's completely out of your power, the play that's at the table. And I just don't, the fly thing is a real thing that should have been cleaned off. That actually could affect the play. And it's something that Jason had no control over. Jason was ready for the shot, and the fly landed on it went through his line of vision and landed on a ball. That's something to control over. You just can't get, so it's a completely different situation. You can't argue that. It just doesn't money. It does. I guess at the end of the day, it goes back to what we were talking about the last few days. The Americans find these weird, crazy conspiracy theories where everyone's out to get them, and it's like the world is against us and Matcher hates us and blah 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 blah. What at the end of the day is, we made the mistake. We made the mistake. That it just is what it is. I mean, that's my thoughts on it. So,
yeah.
Mike, you can take it away from there.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I've heard several things. I've read several things. People saying that, you know, Al-Qaedi's not a sportsman because he accepted the foul. He should have just rolled the white or agreed
That's the
with
dumbest
Jeremy
thing I've
to put
ever
the
heard
white.
too.
And yeah, these are idiotic things. And if that's the case, then okay, I want Kachi and Albin to get their shot again that they messed up in their match, you know, because everybody knew what was happening except the two of them, but nobody said anything, you know. The referee knew because,
and it was the same ref. It was the same ref, boys.
And he knew it was going to be a foul, and it was in the stroke when he called foul. If you watch it, he hadn't actually contacted the cue ball when the ref said foul. He just knew that he was about to foul, you know. So the ref should have said to him then at the same time, wait a minute, it's not your shot, Clancy, it's Albin's shot, you know. David's a professional. This is, you know, if David was playing in an individual event and it was just him and he decided to turn around and say, you know what, I'm not, you know, I don't agree with this, you know, let's stick it back, fine. But he's playing for a team. He cannot make a decision like that to just play a foul in the next. He'd be an idiot if he did it. He'd be getting crucified. His team wouldn't be happy. He's a professional. There's been a rule that's been broken. It's not his fault the player didn't know the rule, you know? So he gets his ball in hand. He takes the gift. And I believe that it's been said exactly the words that Al-Qaeda said to Jeremy. And he was conscious of what happened. He was very sorry for Jeremy that it did happen. He said to him, I think he said something like, you're an amazing player. You're a legend of the sport. I'm so sorry the match had to end like this. And he acknowledged it, but you also have to then acknowledge from the other side, David has to do what he has to do. He's been given, you know, he's been given a lifeline. He's been given that chance to win that point. He can't do anything else. So anybody who's on social media saying that that's not that Al-Qaeda's not showing sportsmanship and that he should have given it back, it's a ridiculous notion.
Dumbest thing. So dumb. And you have no idea who he is. David is one of the people that you'll come across too when it comes to sportsmanship.
if David thought there was anything wrong with anything that happened, he would have said, no, that's not right, you know. But the rule is the rule, and he knows it. And like Neight said, what happened with Jason is a completely different thing, and what happened with Kachi and Albin is also a completely different thing. But you can disagree with the ruling. You can say that any time, including the cue ball, you have to stop the clock, or you don't, regardless what it is. You can do that as well. You can disagree with what the ruling is, but the rule is there. The rule is there, and the referees have gone by what the rule is. So who are we criticising here? Are we criticising Matchroom? Are we criticising the referee? Are we criticising
anybody but the US? Anybody but us?
Yeah, all three of those notions, that it's the referee's fault, that it's Al-Qaeda's fault, or that it's Matchroom's fault, is just stupid. It's ridiculous. And
It is, yeah.
I'm
Pretty much.
I'm actually considering leaving some of these pool forums that I'm on, because the nonsense that you read on it is just ridiculous. It just it hurts my head reading it.
Come on, Panozzo.
Your head gonna blow.
Well, no, my head's not going to blow up. You know, the only thing more offensive to me, well, not offensive, I don't want to insult anybody here on the podcast, but the only thing worse to me than the idiots who just throw out really nonsensical things on social media is that we spend time talking about them. I would like to spend time more talking about the match itself. And, you know, I would really like to know what the rule reads. I mean, is there something specific? And I'm not saying he made the right call. I think Jeremy, I think Jeremy knows the rule too and knew the rule. I just think he really got in kind of a panic situation and just threw something out there.
He needed a couple
and it didn't
seconds.
work. So,
Yeah.
right. So, and that's fine. But I'm really curious as what the actual, you know, I'd like to see what the written rule is on what kind of stoppage stops the clock and what doesn't. But that's beside the point. No, he made the right call. It was just really unfortunate given the circumstance. But, you know, I'm going to go back to a little bit of what Mike said at the very beginning of this conversation about the foul is the topic here really should be, to me, about what an amazing match it was and what kind of stones Jeremy showed to get up there in that situation. He was down 3-1. No one's expecting him to win anyways. The U.S. is getting run over through the day. And he did what you need to do in the Mosconi Cup, and that was he fought and he scratched and he grinded for every ball that was on the table. And that got him back in a position to win the match. And the back and forth with the safety play in that last rack was just, you know, it had me on the edge of my seat. And one of the things that is most apparent to me is that Jeremy, to me, cemented his role as the U.S. captain for years to come, if he wants to, just by what he did yesterday. And what he's done this week. Because if I'm a young player and I'm looking at what he was willing to do for me and for the team, and that he battled that hard, that's a guy that I want to go to war with. I'll go to war with that guy anytime. And so that to me is why I think that, you know, if you're a young player, that's the guy you want to follow. And he showed just so much grit and so much heart. That, you know, it didn't even really matter whether he won or lost. I would love to have seen him win because 8-6, yeah, you're still in the game, and this guy won a huge point for you. But you know, to me, he still showed so much out there that it's going to go a long way for him and he's already had a ton of respect, but from a respect standpoint and a credibility standpoint, you know, no one's going to question Jeremy ever again.
Well, Neight,
I was for him. I was
Neight,
for him to win that match. Yeah. Really.
Well, I was going to.
No,
I'm telling you what, like your argument actually, that
he
your
hasn't even
argument
had
is good enough.
a full year with his own guys. You know, he hasn't even had a team, you know, without any drama or any BS, and that's not his fault.
I know.
You know, and listen, he's shown, like Mike said, he's shown some heart of. I love how everybody went out there after the fact and showed the man some respect. All the players from
they did.
From Carl and Laley and Shaw and Kachi and all those guys, giving them a lot of love, because Jeremy, that whole match was just inspiring, and that foul really took away from what could have been, or not could have been, because it was something pretty special. You know, it's just unfortunate. I don't think anybody wanted it to end that way. I had money bet on Team Europe, and I was still rooting for Jeremy after getting back in there the way he did and finally getting a decent shot, you know. And it kind of robbed us of what could have been something even better, because that 6 was no gimme to get, and especially to get back on that 7. So it wasn't a guarantee that the man was going to go and get out. So it could have been even better than what it already was, and it already was something pretty special. He's got all my respect in the world just from that standpoint. He shows you that don't ever give up on, you know, no matter where you're at in that match. You know, 3-1, you know, 9-5 or 8-6 or 8-5, whatever it was. Yeah, he's the guy who I would want to go and look up to. He's the definition of a leader, because he's not only saying it with words, but he's out there proving it with actions. You know?
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Oh yeah, sure.
We talked about it before the Mosconi Cup about, you know, perhaps, you know, and we mentioned it when we had Jeremy on the show, that there didn't seem to be a reaction from him when things were going badly in the previous year, and that he said they admitted that, and it was something he wanted to work on, and he wanted to make sure that, you know, if he felt there was any moments where he needed to get involved, then
time out real quick, boys. I don't mean to cut you off, Jim, but the lineups are out.
Yeah, lineups out.
Just to let everybody know, they're starting off with the fans' choice doubles. Following that up, it's going to be Jason Shaw versus Sky Woodward. After that, it's going to be Shane Van Boning versus Joshua Filler. Following that, it's going to be David Al-Qaidi versus Tyler Steyer. Kachi versus Chris Reinhold. And in what could be the last matchup of the night, if it gets that far, Albin Ocean versus Jeremy Jones. I tell you what, man, like, you want to talk about a story, and I know it's you know, it's hard to go and get there. It's hard to go and get there. But if it gets down to that last match, give me Team USA. I don't care how much money I lose. If it gets to Albin Ocean versus Jeremy Jones, I want to see some redemption and some Cinderella, because that would be something of
Mike, that's not the last match.
Legendary.
That won't be the last match.
That would only get
that
it.
won't be
that
the
would
last
only
match.
get it to
That'll be
10
captain's
to 10,
pick
and
after
then
that.
there would be
That'd get a
captain's
hill,
pick. Yeah.
and then it's captain's pick.
Right. Right.
Well, then never mind. Now y'all just ruined it now.
All right, he's back on Europe. He's back on Europe, everyone.
Take a break.
Yeah, let's go Europe then. It's time to go and collect, boys. Come on.
Go Europe.
If he was
What do you think?
last match, then stick him out again anyway. You know, hey, why not?
Let me get y'all's reaction, because essentially the first 3 matches are going to be the same guys, because I'm going to bet
US wins 2 of the
my
3.
entire house that you're going to have Shane and Sky versus Jason and Joshua Filler. So
Yeah.
What do you guys like in that doubles? What do you guys like having Sky following it up?
I think that I was not surprised that he came out.
I need to check out, guys. Enjoy.
Okay.
Okay.
See you, Jim.
See you later, Tel.
Who'd we lose? We
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah.
Might have lost it. Go
We'll
ahead,
live
Mike.
through it. Let's go.
Not surprised that they came out with Jason right after the doubles, because it does figure to be Jason and Josh against Shane and Sky. I thought maybe we talked about this last night, Mike. I thought maybe then they would hold Filler till the end. In case it got that far. You don't want to, roll the dice, but holding Albin till the end's not a bad option either. So, my interest in the beginning of the day is going to be Shane. So Shane is coming out first in doubles, you would assume. What Shane are we going to see? Is he going to realize last night that he did not do the right thing, and is he going to come out aggressive and determined to win today, or is he going to be the shoulder shrugger that we saw at the end of yesterday? So that to me is the most interesting aspect of the beginning of the day here is Shane coming out there. It doesn't surprise me that Europe loaded up, tried to just finish this thing off, because they knew that the U.S. had to load up. You have to run out Sky and Shane right away.
Yeah, that's why I don't like that.
You have to. You can't leave. You can't lose leaving them on the bench.
It's a lesser two. Yeah, you're gonna get crucified.
You can't. Anybody will tell you. you can't lose with your best player still sitting on the bench. So if he's got a bullet, you play it, you shoot it right now. So that's the way it
Well,
goes.
no, that's what I'm saying.
I
don't like Europe. I don't like Europe playing their best.
With the first one, I do, because they're 2 behind. If they were 1 behind, a little different story. I mean, if they were 1 from victory, a little different story. But they're 2 from victory, so they're basically doing what what Johan did a couple years ago, was start the day with Sky, get to the hill, and then you're holding your best guy if it gets a little bit further and you need him, you got Shane a little bit later.
And Johan's actually in there. Johan's in the.
I'm sorry.
He froze up a little there.
What was that, Nate?
Give him a second.
My audio is terrible.
His internet. Yeah.
Yeah, my connection
anyways,
is still bad.
Yeah, again, it's not surprising that they started out heavy, tried to get to that hill right away, and then you still got plenty of talent, and keeping your one of your best guys for the end in case you need it, because that's where the U.S. is going to stick Jeremy. You just try to get there. So again, to me, the very beginning is going to be seeing how Shane comes out for the doubles. And if it gets to his singles match, then the singles match. Really interesting.
What about you, Rob?
Me? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go. I don't think we have a prayer. I think it's over the first 2 matches today. And that's got something to do with the emotion that I went through yesterday. And it's going to be so overwhelmingly hard for this American team to pull out of that state of depression. Even after Jeremy's great showing, it certainly helps going into today. But it's overwhelming. And if they don't start potting these balls better, they just don't have a prayer. I would like to change the subject just a hair. I would like to give a shout out to Kelly Fisher. I think she said something yesterday that kind of tickled my fancy a little bit. And that David Al-Qaeda was playing at the time, and he had a ball hanging in the corner pocket that he was hooked on. He could have jumped it, whatever, but him and Ahad, and finally he decided to go rail first on the shot. And I'm looking at it going, God, he's got a good chance of scratching in that other corner at that same end of the table. And he's got to come out just to the middle of the table for shape on the next ball on the side. And he hits it just perfect. He just clips the ball thin, and it just comes out ideal. And Kelly Fisher at the time said some things about David Al-Qaeda. One of the things he says was that he's practices with players that play 3-cushion billiards, and they also play snooker, and he's very good at both of those games. And I really liked that. It was let's boost up all the pocket pool games, and including billiards. So I heard that, and I kind of laughed to myself. And he executed it. He said, people who play this game, pocket pool games, if they only took up a little 3-cushion in the process also, their pocket pool game is going to get better.
Nate made that rail first. Nate would have been able to spin that rail first in. But I do like bringing up Danny Sanchez. He's a world champion 3-cushion player. Just an absolute monster. So
I get back in there, I'm already getting blasted. What is going on here?
We were waiting on you, pal.
Jeez, way to welcome me back, pal. Thanks.
Yeah, I think the just back on the matches, I think the Americans are for sure up against it. I wouldn't blame them. If it's over, in 3. But I tell you what, it really, just these matchups alone have a chance for something pretty special to happen. A lot of redemption here. If you look at Chris versus Kachi, Tyler, if Tyler can go and hold his own against David, and of course if Jeremy somehow or some way could go and ever get there and beat Albin and grind another one out, it could be something pretty special. But it's going to be tough because they've got nothing but haymakers ever since the end of day 2, starting with that miss by Chris and then just continuing match after match after match. Really now have been 6 matches in a row. So mentally it's going to be tough to go and come back from it. but we'll see. You know, I like the old saying goes, "Give me a chip in a chair."
Yeah, it's
Well, I think US is winning two of the first three, and it wouldn't surprise me a bit if they won the first three. But I don't think they're getting past. I think best case scenario they get to match number 5. I think it's realistically over in 4.
yeah, quite possibly. But you're coming out there. It's time for the stars to shine. You're coming out there with Sky and Shane the first 3 matches. So if they've got the heart and if they've got the determination, then it makes things interesting. You're still in a deep hole, but it makes things interesting. So yeah, let's see if your leaders step up.
Yeah. The last thing I want to talk about, I guess, before we can wrap this up is, does anybody have a count on the MVP? I mean, I'm sure it's Jason's to lose at this point, but if, let's say, Jason and Josh play the first one, they win, and then Jason loses and Josh wins, does that give him the MVP? Where does anybody have any account on that?
I think it's Jason's lock. I think it's Jason's to go and lose for sure.
Yep.
He's got 3. He's got 4.
He's got
He's already got 5. He's already got 5 points.
Well, but David ain't lost the match yet.
How many does Josh have?
But he's been that emotional leader on the rail too for his guys. I think that's a big part of it. He's really been the spark plug. He got him tied up yesterday. I mean, he's come clutch in some big moments and some big shots. And I know he has one.
Filler's only played 3 matches.
Yeah,
and 2 of them were singles. Crazy.
He's only played, so he's not in contention. Someone like David, I don't think he won doubles on the first day. He won doubles on the second day. So David's got 4.
Yeah,
David's got 4. Jason's got 5 right now.
But it doesn't feel like David's ahead of Josh though. Not to me, Mike. I don't know why. No. It doesn't feel like David's been more of a factor than
it's based on points. It's not an objective. Yeah, it's a subjective thing. It's just strictly based on wins. There's no voting.
Yeah. So, there's nothing else. It's only no voting. So it's only the most points on the it's the most points on the winning team.
So Jason's got 5.
Theoretically, if Jason goes out and loses his first 2 matches, if Jason loses his first 2 matches and David wins his singles. But even then, it's 5-5 and
3.5.
Yeah,
not 4.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you take it away from them, Rob. You go and take his half point.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's going to be good, but their Team USA's Team USA for. I mean, they look defeated in the locker room after the match with Jeremy. They look defeated after just walking away. Obviously, Shane's demeanor, the entire from the last 2/3 of the entire day. It's not. They don't. I can't pull any besides Jeremy's fight. I can't pull a whole lot of positive out of what happened yesterday.
Here's a question here. Is Earl out of quarantine today?
Don't care.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, right? What happens if Earl Strickland shows up and starts beating up Team Europe?
Well, I'd be interested to know, what Jeremy said to everybody last night to get him back into it for today.
Yeah, I would too.
It'd be really interesting to know. Did he do a fire and brimstone thing? Did he do, the soft soap thing? Whatever. But
maybe he just bought a bottle of booze and they all just got hammered and just had fun.
Could be, but we'll be interested to see how they come out today and play.
Yeah. I would, Johan, I would love to have you on the podcast one of these times to hear your thoughts on it. I think that'd be fantastic to get who wants to listen to us schmucks when we could listen to you on this? I think that'd be the best.
Bring them on.
Watch the language.
Bring them on for a post.
You're calling us all schmucks now.
Post-tournament appearance
by
Johan.
Just
you in?
Yeah, Johan, you can join us for the after one if you'd like. First off, you're welcome whenever you'd like. But yeah, I think that'd be fantastic. So I guess let's get everybody's prediction. Currently it's 9-5. Molina Mike, what's your prediction on score to finish it out?
Well, as someone who's betting by the match, I'm hoping it's I'm hoping it's gonna be 2-0. But if by some way they go and win the first one, hell, might as well let them win the rest of them too. Let's get it tied up and let's make it hill after that. So I don't know. We'll see. Either way,
So
I'll
what
be
you're
watching.
what you're telling me is you're giving 5.
Well, I may or may not have, but the money line's pretty big. The money line's pretty big too, So I want a sweater, man. I do. I want to see something competitive. I honestly, I do. I want them to go, close 5-3 or 5-4 or better. The last thing I want to go and do is see them go and mail it in. But that first match is going to be key. I hope Shane doesn't go and bring Sky down, because Sky's been the pulse of Team USA. He's been super upbeat the entire time and really just completely positive and has played phenomenal. So I hope he doesn't go and bring down his rhythm, because if they lose and then he's down here, well, now he's playing, the next match afterwards against Jason. So, yeah, we'll see what happens though.
Yeah. All right. Well, so Mike, I think out of all that we heard 11-5. Rob, what's your prediction?
I'm thinking 11-5 too. But U.S. they could win one out of the first 3. I think they could maybe, like you say, Nate, win 3 out of 3. I mean, anything can happen in this. It's a race to 5. Come on, these guys are the best players in the world.
All right, Panozzo, what you got?
11-6. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm going to go 11-6 too. Yeah, I think they win one out of the first 3.
Yep, I got 11-7. I think that they're going to win 2 of the first 3, and I could actually see. I mean, if Shane and Sky go out there and win, I think if Shane was next, I don't think that guarantees a win. But I think if Sky and Shane goes out there, I think Sky will beat Jason. I think he will if they win the first match. And then you got Josh. I've never seen Josh more excited for anything in my life than any chance he gets to play Shane Van Boening in the Mosconi Cup. So doesn't really say much there, but I got an hour, boys. 11-7.
Here's
and I got to go jump on an Uber to get over there. So
let me just throw this out there really quick. What if instead of JJ, that fall would have been called on Earl? Potentially, what do you think would the ref have gotten hurt?
No one
manslaughter
ever
in the first degree.
Yeah, no one ever has to worry about Earl not beating the shot clock. So
yeah, that's true.
That would not have been an issue.
That is absolutely right.
3 seconds.
He would have just speared it in.
Boom, boom, boom.
All right, guys.
Well,
all right, boys. I appreciate you.
Have a good day.
I don't know when we're gonna be able to do the post show breakdown, because I got to be traveling tomorrow. But maybe we can get it in very late tomorrow night or something.
We'll figure it out, buddy.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yep.
All right, everybody.
Later.
Thanks again for watching. Cheers. See you later.